action team on overdose prevention for South Surrey White Rock. I'm also director at an agency called Sources Community Resources, and I'm coming to you from the unceded traditional territory of the Coast Salish people, and particularly the Semiahmoo First Nations. So back in about 2017, I was attending a funeral of someone that I cared very much about, who was an iron worker and very beloved by his fellow iron workers. He took great pride in his work. And he was one of the first people on the wave of folks who were losing their lives to, this toxic drug poisoning crisis that we're experiencing in British Columbia and increasingly across Canada. And at that memorial, I saw men from the ironworkers coming together and really talking to each other about how do we take care of one another, given what's happening. People are saying, I don't want to go to any more of these. And you take care of yourself. So there was this culture of acknowledgement of what was happening and an attitude of support and care and compassion. So it was an idea of mine, how can I capture that moment and create something that could give an opportunity for people in the trades to share from their own experience and their own care to fellow people in the trades. So it did take a long time in coming. I want to thank Base 2 Media. I want to thank the City of White Rock. I very much want to thank Health Canada for contributing funding to this, and definitely the support of Mom Stop the Harm, Lorna Thomas in particular, and support from folks like the Vancouver Island Construction Association for all their support in getting this done. I especially really want to thank the 4 men who were courageous enough to share their personal stories in the hopes that people in the trades industries who are disproportionately losing their lives due to overdose, to think about, we're not going to stop use. Abstinence will not be the outcome for all people. So if people are going to be using, can there be some thought around how they might be able to use without risking the loss of life? Also, expanding opportunities for people to receive support, services, and recovery. We've got a person on our panel, he's a hope dealer these days. He's going to be talking about how we can share messages of hope and compassion so that we can kind of help shift the culture towards help seeking and taking care of one's own mental and emotional health. So I would now like to welcome Mayor Walker, who has offered City of White Rock, whose financial support and care has really helped this project come to life. So Mayor Walker, I'm going to switch seats.
Good afternoon and welcome, and thanks for being here today. There's a lot of people that I think are responsible for and deserve some gratitude for what's happening here, but certainly George and Matthew are among them. I had the pleasure of meeting these 2 individuals when I was elected slightly under 4 years ago, and realized how important some of the projects they were working on was. And I believe that it's important for our community and myself to be intricately involved in whatever that means, whether it's my name, ability to open doors, whatever. The other piece of it is my background is the labor movement, and construction trades are a large part of the labor movement, and not all the labor movement are involved in all levels of the movement. There are some that are outside the kind of core, the BC Federation of Labor. One of those is LIUNA, which is Labor's International Union of North America. And I've had the pleasure over the last probably 8 years of getting to know them and understanding their concerns around this issue as well. So it was my pleasure to try and introduce LIUNA to some of the other work that Matthew and George are doing with men in the trades. I can't think of many things more important to our society in general and to the families within that community, that we start to find ways to help people through a difficult time. And using a loan is not one of those ways. And I think COVID has driven us into some holes that we ought not to be in, and we need to start coming out into the light again. It is not people who are street people that are using drugs. It's everybody and anybody. It could be myself as a casual weekend user. Who really knows what I do on the weekends? And I think the important message is here, we have to get out to the message, don't use alone. There are other ways of doing it. There are processes in place that'll help you. And I hope we'll learn more today about what those processes are. So I want to thank you for being here. My commitment is to you as the mayor of the city of White Rock. You tell me what you need me to do, I'm going to do it. That's all there is to it. Thank you. George.
Thank you, Mayor Walker. And as you can tell, it really helps to have municipal leaders and leaders in all levels of government to be involved in helping shift this very concerning trend. I was remiss. I do want to thank one person in particular, Matt Watt, who's my project coordinator for Tides of Change and has done an amazing amount of work on this project. So big thank you, Matthew. I'd like to now invite Lorna Thomas to say a few words from Mom Stop the Harm. And Lorna is also one of the producers of this video, whose expertise and consultation as an expert also in the film industry, which has been wonderful. So thank you, Lorna, for all your support, and please share some things that you'd like to share. Lorna, I think you're muted still. Yeah, there you go.
Unmute.
There you go.
Okay, great. Thanks, George. And thank you for your words, Mayor Walker. We really need such bold leadership from our politicians. As Matthew said, my name is Lorna Thomas, and I'm speaking to you from Edmonton on Treaty 6 territory. Though I can't be with you in person today, I have rolled out the red carpet for this premiere. I am one of the producers of Building Hope with George and Matthew, and given I am an independent filmmaker, it was a real pleasure to work as a volunteer on this video project. My personal interest in this work comes about because of tragedy. I lost my 24-year-old son, Alex, to a drug-related death in 2012. I always have a photo behind me here of Alex. He was a welder. He worked in the oil and gas industry, and I found out after his death that he was using stimulants such as cocaine to help him cope with a 60-hour work week. Alex died by suicide, but I say he died by stigma and shame, given he did not disclose about his drug use. Alex died before the drug poisoning epidemic that we're currently experiencing. So I now advocate for drug policy reform. And as one of the founders of Mom Stop the Harm, along with Leslie McBain and Petra Schultz, we started as 3 concerned mothers. Tragically, we are now a network of 3,500 Canadian families whose loved ones have been impacted by substance use harms and death. And we often hear stories from families whose loved ones worked in the trades. Mom Stop the Harm advocates for decriminalization of people who use drugs. We provide peer support to grieving families with our Healing Hearts programming, and with Holding Hope, we assist those whose loved ones use or have used substances, and we share information and resources. So that's why we're so excited to share the Building Hope videos. To conclude, I want to say that the famous Canadian filmmaker Norman Jewison was wrong when he said you can't make a good film with a committee. Well, Building Hope is a good film that was made with the input of a fantastic story consulting team: George, Matthew, Scott Neufeld, Greg Heminger, Colby Young, and the men from Base 2, Michael, Matthew, and Jonathan. It was great to work with all of you. I'd like to offer a special shout out of gratitude to the men who appear in the film: Daniel, Cale, Rob, and Trevor, as well as to our families and funders. And also thank you to Mom Stop the Harm member Kat Wahama for introducing me to the project and for sharing in the film your acting skills and the photo of your beloved son, Joey. As bereaved mothers, we miss our sons and ask, what beauty will we create in the space they no longer occupy? Well, together we've created beauty of a film.
Thank you, Lorna. That's beautiful. I'd like to give an opportunity for Matthew Davis and from Base 2 Media to share a bit. And Matthew is a long time and even building up to this film. And I really thank you for helping bring together the pieces that were needed for this to come to fruition. So Matthew.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much. I feel honored to be asked to share a few short words today. I want to also say that I believe Jonathan is in the participants, and Michael, Michael Millard, the producer for the project, is away and sends his apologies that he couldn't be here. I started chatting with George and Matthew a long time before the project started, and we explored many different challenges and approaches to the video. And I really feel, when we watch the video together and that everyone has said so far, that we definitely chose the right approach. We wanted at the beginning of the discussion to have everything on the table. We spoke about animation, we spoke about using actors to tell stories, and we knew and definitely acknowledged that the lived experience and the personal experience of the people that were in this video is definitely the right way to go. So George had asked me to share a little bit. All I can say is that I believe that substance use impacts all of us. I think, directly or indirectly. I can say from my own experience, I had to address substance use in 2001 in my life when I was 21 years old. And what I love that the video does is that it's not overly prescriptive and helps the viewers understand that there are many ways to approach this. The line that comes to mind is that we sometimes need to get to a place where the pain of staying the same is greater than the fears of the change that might need to happen. And I thought that was reflected when Trevor mentioned that that none of the things he feared were going to happen actually happened. So to me, I can't watch this video without getting emotional, and I believe that we scoured North America wide and looked at any possible videos on this subject. And maybe it's taken, obviously Base 2 Media produced the video, but I haven't seen one that touches the heart and feels as genuine and sincere as this video does. So thank you for letting me share, and I really appreciate Base 2 Media, really appreciates being part of this project. I've been with Base 2 Media for 4 years, and I haven't felt this way about a video on any projects we've done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matthew. Please extend our thanks to Michael and Jonathan and all the staff at Base 2 Media. So I'd like to just acknowledge Colby Young and the folks from the Vancouver Island Construction Association, and particularly the Tailgate Toolkit talks, that were really, there's an initiative underway to bring opportunities for folks in the trades to really understand pathways and to be able to address substance use concerns. And especially I'm appreciative, one, of the research that was brought forward that really helped us hone in on what was happening in the trades industries, of all the industries, this is the largest affected industry by a significant amount. And also just that this video is going to hopefully augment what beautiful work you guys are doing. So thank you, Colby, if you could share a few words.
Great. Thank you so much, George. I really appreciate that. And first, I'd like to apologize. My connection is a little bit iffy right now. So if I start jumping around, I apologize. As George said, I'm Colby Young. I'm with the Tailgate Toolkit program out of the Vancouver Island Construction Association. I am just so impressed and proud of the work that has gone into this video. It truly does, as I think Matthew put it, it really does strike a chord and hits a note that has not been hit in other initiatives that have been directed at this issue. And I've been so privileged to also get to meet and speak with many of the men who share their experiences. Rob, who is on the panel right now, has been a big part of our project. And it is truly a remarkable feat that everyone here has accomplished. And I'm very excited to kind of see it go forward. In our project with the Tailgate Toolkit, we really do acknowledge that this is an issue that impacts everybody. In British Columbia, it's been a public health emergency since 2016, and many of us in particular have some connection to it. I don't want to confuse anybody. I don't want anyone to think that we are putting any type of blame on the construction industry, because that's simply not the case. This is an industry where it just so happens that we have seen the culmination of many factors that we understand contribute to substance use and contribute to this drug poisoning crisis. And that's just through the nature of the work, a bit about the culture, and the people who come to work in construction. We see pain, we see isolation, we see mental health. This is an industry that's so male dominant as well, and we know that men are at a much greater risk. So through our project, we really work to spread awareness and education by going to sites, to talking to crews, to letting them know, as George said, there are pathways. This is an issue that we can all really understand, because many of us in some form use substances. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the opportunities and options that we have to be safer. Let's talk about how we can address this in the industry, by the industry, by taking leadership. And maybe our zero tolerance firing policies aren't the best approach. We need to shift more towards support, accommodation, and understand that we are in a place to really get to know and understand our workers and benefit everyone's well-being, including the safety and well-being of our industry and our sector. So through our project, we have the opportunities for leaders in the industry to receive education on what's going on. And this video is going to be integrated into our education because of the way that it exposes people to that lived experience. And I am so excited again to share this. So thank you all to, of course, the men who shared their stories, this incredible team who put together the video, and those behind the scenes who, have been doing this work for so long.
Thank you so much, Colby. And for those of you watching across Canada, please do consider getting in touch with Colby and his team if you're looking for opportunities for the industry to support the industry, because they're making headway in BC with being able to join safety huddles, bring together groups to forward the conversation. So I think it's an initiative that this video will be able to support and augment, but creating spaces for the dialogue is powerful. So thank you, Colby, for the work you're doing, and please do look up Colby. We can hopefully share his contact information for everybody. So on to the folks who kind of, I guess, are the people that I'm just most indebted to for their willingness to come forward and speak to their fellow folks in the industry. So I'd like to start with Cale Moth. Cale's coming to us from Saskatchewan. Glad to have you, Cale. If you could unmute and share a few words. There you go.
Perfect. Thank you very much, George. It's great to see you guys all here today. As George said, I'm here in Saskatchewan. I'm in Lloydminster. I'm actually right on the border of Alberta and Saskatchewan, so it's a divided city. I'm currently actually in the middle of moving. I'm actually, once I'm done on the video chat today, I'm moving to Saskatoon, and I'm continuing pursuing an opportunity in college and stepping away from the oil and gas industry and stepping into a trade here so I can get an education and not rely so much on the oil prices. But anyways, George, I'd met him quite a while ago, quite a few years ago. I was speaking in White Rock with an opportunity with the CAT team there. And throughout some time after that, I was brought forward and said, hey, like, would you be willing to participate in this opportunity? And I told him wherever I can help, I would love to. I was given an opportunity at a young age. Being 18 years old, I was able to go into treatment and try and battle the abuse that I was going through with alcohol and drugs. And to be able to overcome that and be able to give an opportunity back to others is something I promised myself I would continue to do. And with this video being able to be made, it also helped me be able to reach out to the people I work right beside, as I have just over 3 years of experience in the oil and gas industry between the service rigs, the pipeline, and the drilling rig service side of things. So to be able to see it firsthand of, the families that were being destroyed because of this impact and just the devastation between it, I wanted to be able to step out and be able to say, hey, I'm not going to be one of the people that just fits in with the norm. I want to be able to see some difference. And if there's enough courageous people like I see here on this video today that are willing to do it, then I guess I can definitely join in when knowing I have some support and take that step out as well. So in May 7th, I just had my 4 years sober from drugs and alcohol, and I'm continuing to do so. I go by a Hope dealer here in Lloydminster. I continue to travel around and help wherever I can. Being 23 years old, it is difficult to try and get some messages across to people, being a young guy that, why would they want to listen to me? But I have seen some great success in it along the way. And being able to, share some information about what we're doing here in this video that we were able to continue to build with the help of all these amazing people, I've seen some really positive feedback from it. And there's a lot of people that are excited. I actually have about 8 service rig companies here in Lloydminster and help with Synovus Energy and Husky Energy here in Saskatchewan that are willing to watch the video and go over it. And those are very, very big corporations in our area. So that was a great opportunity to expand that way. And I'd like to say a huge thanks to George, all the guys at Base 2 Media. And I hope that we can continue to reach forward and, be able to help others get out of the situation, realize that there is hope. And that is, hope is the key in everything in life. And I hope that we can continue to move forward and save lives every day.
Thank you, Cale. And we need young people to be involved in bringing this message forward. There's a lot of young people in the industry. So, I commend you on your 4 years for sure, but also your willingness to be, part of helping others and making, the world a more compassionate place where there's invitations towards wellness. I do want to acknowledge that Trevor and Daniel, who are featured in the video, were both unable to get here today, but they did send along that they're very, appreciative of their opportunity to participate in this video. And so, I just want to acknowledge their contribution. And I am very grateful to also have Rob here today. And Rob, thank you so much for your participation and all the work you've done with Vancouver Island Construction Association. And so I feel like you've got another angle to share this from, given your place in the industry. So thank you for sharing a few words.
Sure, thank you. Hello, everybody, and thanks for being here. Yeah, my name is Rob Turner, and I'm the owner of, founder of Rob Turner Masonry here in Victoria, British Columbia, and that's where I am right now today. I say founder because we've just expanded and bought another company, and now we have a couple of shareholders, which with the end goal being that eventually I'll be able to retire. So in the meantime, it was interesting when Cale discussed, the age of 23. I don't think this was touched on any of the video when it may have been, but it's certainly not in the film. But 23 was when I first, I think, hit bottom and was already working in construction and went and asked for help. And I was directed to a fellowship and thought I could solve a drug problem. Didn't think I had an alcohol problem, and tried for a few months and then thought I had it licked. And I basically doubled my age before I hit another bottom, to the point where I needed to ask for help again, because I was not quite 46. I was 45. It was June in 2010. And so that 23 is a number that kind of resonates with me, and it's amazing. You know, I've gotten to know Kale a little bit just with a couple of previous Zoom chats, and really impressed. I have to say I was quite nervous when I got the edits for the film to watch them. And I was actually in Europe on a family vacation, and it just didn't work out time-wise for a couple of times. And then I was on a plane and I thought I'm going to watch, and I thought, no, I'll wait. And so I had them for about a week before I watched them. And I can't really say why I was nervous, but I can tell you that, tell everybody that I was really happy with the end result, and what a wonderful job that the team has done. For me personally, I shared this also with the creators and the other participants that, as is mentioned in the show, when I was asked, and this project was put before us on the VICA panel here in Victoria, you know, I contemplated it for a little while, but I decided that I would definitely, you know, put my name forth to speak, and largely as an ode to my brother, who's been gone for a few years now, but he, you know, he's who we're reaching to. Vince was a carpenter. He was a wonderful man. He loved his job. He loved his trade, and he was passionate about it. And 2 separate injuries about 4 years apart meant that he was put on a permanent disability pension. You know, he was basically farmed off with the lifetime prescriptions to morphine and OxyContin, and alcohol played into it. And, you know, he died in a pretty lonely, dark hotel room. And the cause of death was morbid toxicity to OxyContin and morbid toxicity to morphine. To me, the cause of death also was the system and the WorkSafe system, how it operates, and how there just wasn't support. And because of his complicated addictions, he couldn't. There were times in his last couple of years where he tried for help, and there weren't treatment centers available for him because of the prescribed opioids that he was still on. So I realized that it's a complicated story. However, that was my motivation. So yes, just this week, we currently employ about 75 individuals. And just yesterday, I was talking with an employee who relapsed with heroin on the weekend and is waiting to get his prescribed, it's not methadone, and it slips me the name. You know, he should be back and hopefully back to work in a couple of days. And you know, I spoke to him not as a boss, but as a sober person. And then just this morning, another employee has been brought to our attention who somebody else is dealing with, and it has to do with alcohol. So it is definitely, you know, an issue in our industry, in the construction and transportation industry, and in our society that warrants our full attention. And I'm grateful to have been a part of it. So that's enough for me. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Rob. And that's a testament to culture change and what you've done there to allow for people to feel like they're safe, to acknowledge things, and to reach out for support. And you're at the ready for that. So I commend you on that. And, you know, that's another intention for this video, is to provoke a little bit of dialogue and thoughtfulness about how can people in the industry be supported, you know, to prevent loss of life and opportunities for greater wellness, especially given that there is chronic pain. There is a hyper-masculine culture often. And, you know, and people often have pre-existing challenges that result in people reaching for substances to cope. So thank you so much, Rob. I realize we've gone a little beyond the time that we intended. I kind of wondered if that might happen, but I really value the opportunity to hear from each of you. I think that you've brought a level of sincerity and passion and conviction to all of your roles, and I'm very grateful to all of you. So for those of you watching, we will be sending links to anybody who wants it to our we have the video uploaded onto a YouTube channel. You can contact us at tidesofchange@sourcesbc.ca. We will put that in the chat if Tina, if you wouldn't mind doing that, tidesofchange@sourcesbc.ca to request the link. And we also have 4 59-second spotlight videos that are designed to be shareable over social media. We're going to be putting it out through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere a person might be able to see this video, whether it's a person in the trades or someone who cares about them. Just to have this go as far and wide as possible. We weren't interested in owning this video. We're interested in this being shared. So without further ado, let's bring this up. So Matt, you want to do the honors? Is it optimized for sound? One moment. Just hit that button for optimize for sound. There you go.
Well, it's crazy. In the late 90s, early 2000s, I didn't know anyone that overdosed. And now, I mean, I hear about people overdosing and dying multiple times a week. When the overdose crisis got declared a public health emergency, or what we're now calling a toxic drug poisoning crisis, I became pretty acutely aware that I wouldn't be alive if I was still using opioids.
When I got onto the job site, I found that it was a very comfortable place for me to be. School for me was uncomfortable. I didn't feel like I really necessarily fit in among my peers, but when I found construction, I found a lot of people like myself. I had a tough story in my life leading up to that, and the construction industry was a place where a lot of people with tough stories found a great place to make a living.
Probably by about age 15 to 16, definitely by 15, I realized that I quite enjoyed the feeling of intoxication, of drinking, and it became a big part of my life. You know, if I could work hard, work extremely hard during the day, and then, you know, put down your tools and then head to the bar or head to the cooler in the back of a pickup truck, inevitably turned to unwinding, turned into partying pretty hard.
My substance use came before the oil rigs. In Saskatchewan and many of the other prairie regions, it's pretty easy to get drawn into it at a young age as there's really not much else to do. And joining the oil rigs, and it had just kind of advanced it with the acceptance of more money, less time, you know, disconnection from friends and family.
A lot of guys that I've worked with are working paycheck to paycheck, so there's not really space for missing time off work. You get stuck in maybe a mindset or a way of thinking that's like, well, if I take this substance, I'll be able to get through the day. There's also a reward element, I believe, in it. You know, you accomplish a lot, guys are proud of their work. Wrapping it up with some drugs or some drinks is pretty normal.
There's a celebration of the suffering. We're proud that we work in that rainstorm or in the mud. We're proud of moving the concrete and lifting the heavy lumber. Good people go out and have a little fun. They end up home alone, and the intention was never to cut their life short. They just wanted to feel different or to take a break or blow off some steam.
I tried to carry out the con, if you will. I wanted people to know that I was in control, that I knew what I was doing, but it was like a double life. The Jekyll and the Hyde would come out. And it would take me to dark places and to into situations that were very dangerous.
I'd begin using in my vehicle, in my commute home. I would head into my room and use until very early in the morning, where I would finish with one drug and I would switch to another so that I could get back out of the house again and fake my way through another day of work.
I was driving down the road. I'd been impaired from the night before and I'd fallen asleep at the wheel, and I essentially drove the truck and trailer with equipment on it into the ditch. And it was my driller's truck, my boss's truck. And it took on a big file and report, and I lost my employment due to it happening. It was an incident, a recordable incident, and the company was actually penalized for it too.
I lost my brother, who I love dearly, to addiction. He was a carpenter, and he was injured at work and on a permanent pension, and had become addicted to medically prescribed opioids. Had so much pride in the work that he did as a carpenter, but he just could not overcome the pain that he was in, the physical pain from the hard work that he did for his many years of his life until he had broken his back.
What we're really up against is that people still haven't admitted to themselves that the risk has changed. It's not your dad's drug supply. I do believe that we need to be more open to different pathways. And for the longest time, the only pathway was abstinence. It was go to treatment, get sober, and then you go on with your life. There's much more nuance in there. We got to support people in the process. Opioid agonist therapy, safe supply. My life completely stabilized when I got on Suboxone. It was a game changer.
All the times in my career that I struggled, I felt like I had to keep it a secret because I didn't want to lose the respect of the people around me. I didn't feel like there was anybody I could talk to about where I was at. If you see that somebody is struggling and you don't know why, it doesn't make sense. If they're having too many fights with their family members, if they're constantly having to move homes, if they're showing up in less than satisfactory condition from work, check in, ask them some direct questions. You might save their life.
I knew that I had a problem, but I couldn't find a way to ask for help. And I'm so grateful that I finally did, and there were people there that would listen and wanted to listen and wanted to help, that I could find out that I wasn't a bad person, that I had an illness and an addiction, and I couldn't control it on my own. I needed help.
Now that I'm able to be sober and free from my addiction, I help people essentially in the oil and gas industry now. I've actually noticed a few people on my rig crew personally that are taking a step away from going to the bar after work like they usually do, and just being able to be safe because they don't want to be the reason that somebody else loses their life because they make a mistake.
If you're a person who's hiding, using your drugs for whatever reason behind closed doors and don't want to bring it into the open, then it's imperative you connect with some kind of resource, some person that's safe for you to talk to them about that and find a way that you can protect yourself. Overdose prevention sites, safe consumption sites, get your drugs tested. You can use an app and be witnessed, or at least have someone check in on you.
I feared I would lose my job. I feared that people would hate me, my family would abandon me, and none of that has happened. Not a single one of the things that I feared has come true. The people around me love me. The people around you love you, and they just want to see you healthy.
Okay. So I'm with Matthew. Each time that I see this video, it touches me because I can think about people I care about, both people who have lost their lives, people who have struggled, people who have found recovery and other pathways, and family members who love them. So this video is meant to really be shared as far and wide as possible to help generate more conversation, more awareness around how to really think about safety, wellness in the context that we are now in with a very toxic drug supply. In British Columbia, we're 6 years into our public health emergency. So we are very hopeful that government is listening and considering larger initiatives and policies. But I think from day to day and moment to moment, it's up to us to invite conversation, make a safe space where compassion is present, and recognize that there's a broader conversation we can have around harm reduction, about opioid agonist treatment, about apps that people can use to be witnessed, overdose consumption sites, getting your drugs tested, as well as really an array of recovery options that do exist that we have pathways for. It just takes that person to be willing to reach out and say, I could use some support in this, and for that other person to be receptive to that. So it does require everybody to consider how we play a role in shifting the tide of this. So thank you everyone for showing up today for our premiere event. I really encourage everybody to think about how you can be part of disseminating this video, whether it's arranging for opportunities for it to be viewed as a group, to invite conversation like what Colby's doing in British Columbia, or if it's just being sent where someone can just watch it anonymously without anyone needing to know that they're struggling, because this could be an opportunity for lives to be saved. So please, again, do reach out to us if you would like links to the video. If my eyes were better, I'd put the link right into the chat. Maybe I can get Matt to do this before we sign off. And again, Tides of Change at sourcesbc.ca is a way to reach out to us. And I'll let Matt just grab the link so he can send it in the chat. Also, do please follow our YouTube channel, and there will be links. We ask that everyone who does post this video to ensure that in the description are the links for how to get help. So the Ease the Burden website is a Canada-wide website, so it'll help people connect to resources in your region. Also on that link tree, there's a whole array of websites and resources for everything from how to use naloxone to understanding the phenomenon in the trades, to harm reduction practices, to recovery pathways. So these are resources we want to make sure are a part of every posting of this video if possible. So we'll be supplying all of that to you folks. So thank you again, especially to everyone on the panel here today for taking the time to share. It's just added like a lot of good spirit to me. And this has been 4 years in the making for me, and it means a lot. So thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for everyone who jumped on today. May together we make a difference. All right. Thank you very much.